What's up, Tutorinos? Welcome back to the Game Addicts Podcast, a show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am this podcast player, When Brando, and joining me here today is this podcast player, too, Mike.
Hello.
Today we have a great show for you today, as today marks the start of a journey, a quest, if you will, to find the ultimate and greatest gaming controller of all time. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Of course, we also have all of your latest, greatest news and views across the gaming industry, as we're going to try and look at some stuff that interests us, hopefully some stuff that interests you as well. And, of course, we have some pickups this week, if you will. Mike has more than I do. I have nothing to show. I did buy something, not gaming related, but, Mike, you do have something today.
I do. So I got my pie in.
You got the pie? It was delicious cherry. Yes.
It was, yes. So I got everything that I ordered in, and the little freaking case that looks like a Super Nintendo, I'm sorry, it's cute as hell. It looks.
It's amazing that they're able to do it without infringing on any sort of like general looks like copyright.
Yeah, and a couple reasons why I got it is, well, it looks like a SNES, and it has a power on and reset button, which normally the Pies do not have. You have to plug it in. You have to unplug it every single time.
Right.
Personally, I don't want to do that. Secondly, it comes with other USB ports, but personally, I won't utilize them. Actually, I'm not going to utilize any of the USB ports outside of initial setup. Well, I also have I found a couple sites I'm still really researching because I want to be able to grab everything I want in a dump. I don't want to sift through, 3,200 Super Nintendo games, and then delete all the ones I don't want. That's going to take a long time.
Indeed. There's more to talk about that when we get to the news right after the whole thing, so I'm going to come back to that. But one of the best things you got, in my opinion...
Oh, yes, I haven't got to that yet.
...was your controller.
I did purchase an 8-bit-do Nes Controller.
Does it bother you when you hear people say 8-bit-do?
No, not really.
Well, because it bothers me. Because I haven't heard the company announce it, so until that point, I like you say 8-bit-do. Because it's Nintendo.
Yeah, that's why I say it. Because it's
8-bit-do.
8-bit-do.
But people say 8-bit-do.
I mean, tomato. But
people don't say Nintendo.
It's true. That's very true. But yes, so when I got it, my wife has never played a Super Nintendo. So I thought that would be a very good way to see the differences and the similarities. So I basically I pulled it out of the box. I said, hold this. And she's like, okay, it's a controller, an old one. I was like, well, it's new, but it is what it is. And I went and grabbed the Super Nintendo controller like I did for you, handed it to her and said, tell me the differences. And she was like, we can tell because we're gamers and we've utilized them, especially the Super Nintendo controller. I've used it a lot.
Same.
So I'm very picky about how it feels. Well, she couldn't tell a difference. Like us, we're like, okay, the start and select is a little bit, it's a little bit bouncy. It's not as spongy as the original, and
I felt like the D-pad was more rigid. It was harder. It's hard to explain because it's the same shape, it's the same exact look.
I feel like the edges are more defined. It's not as
a little sharper.
Probably. That's the only problem I have with it.
But the buttons felt a little bouncier, which that could also just be the little membrane inside the old the Super Nintendo controller being a little worn out over the years.
Right.
The shoulders felt fine. No, I really liked the way it felt.
I mean, I'm glad that I made the purchase. I thought about the ones with the analog sticks on them, but most of the games that I'm going to be utilizing it with, until I did a little bit more research, now I'm thinking more along the lines of something else, but excuse me. I plan on using the 8-bit DOE and the PS3 Bluetooth because I can hook them up Bluetooth. Boom, we're done. Game on. So,
well, and see, the PS3, while being a somewhat divisive controller for that era,
right?
It feels pretty similar to a old school DualShock. So if you're going to be playing PS1, or even something like if you have a Cube emulator on there, it's going to have all the buttons there for that. I mean, you're never going to be able to get unless you can make a Cube controller work for it, you're never going to have a direct one-to-one. We don't know whether or not those Wii U or Switch controller adapters will even be recognized at all. You might plug it in and it's not going to know what to do with it because it's different.
Luckily, it states that it is compatible with PC.
It does?
That's what that article you read me said, that it said it was compatible.
I didn't say that.
Oh. Well, I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
I think you were like, oh, it is, huh? And I'm like, what? I didn't say that. No, I was saying that it doesn't state it. It does not state whether or not it is. And obviously, like, I haven't done the research. I haven't done anything. And, of course.
I mean, how new are these adapters?
Well, the Wii U ones just came out.
As I say,
with the Smash for Wii U, which is a couple of years ago. And I haven't done the research on that. But I did state that if there was a way to make a GameCube controller either wireless or convert it over to USB or to do put a Bluetooth component in there, I don't know. I'm actually not that much of a tech guy to be able to do that. But we need to get on the horn with 8-bit DOE because guess what? They doing
do
these.
Those.
They're doing this. I just showed you before we went on the air because these fascinate me, and I'm honestly thinking about doing that. I mean, I wouldn't mind buying the one you got at all, but I'm intrigued because to be able to replace the PCP, because what PCB board, you replace the original one in your old wired controller. Where I think they have them for NES, Super NES, Genesis, and then they even have the ones for the new NES and SNES classics.
Right.
Take them out. Replace it with this new board that they give you, and it has a Bluetooth wireless thing in there. It even puts something to plug up the cord hole, and it's a little it is a little pin charger. It's not a USB. It's like a little pin. It's proprietary to whatever that is.
Right.
And then it has a really ridiculously short USB that you would just plug into your Pi when you were done with it to charge it, and it is your original controller. In feel and everything.
Yep.
That fascinates the crap out of me, especially to know, because I had no idea until we just looked at it today, that they make a Genesis one. Because I love
the 6-button Genesis.
Yes, the 6-button Genesis. It's one of my favorite controllers of that era. I love the Super Nintendo controller. I love it. I used to play it with it a bunch, but there's something just about that Genesis controller. It's very comfortable in the hands. I love that original.
I always thought it weighed a ton compared to any other controller.
Well, see, for me, that was the original 3-button. That one, to me, you could kill somebody if you toss it.
Yeah, that's like a boomerang. It's a batarang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But we're going to get back to controllers a little bit later.
Yes.
A little bit later. I have a pickup. Were you done with pickups? Kind of? Because you got the Pi, you got the case.
Well, I was going to say that with a little further research, we found out that you can get the Dolphin emulator on this new Pi 3B+, which now will cover 64 and GameCube. So this thing has snowballed into everything.
Yeah.
It does, I could get the PSP games, PS1s. It's saying the PS2 is really iffy. I mean, I assumed I haven't done a ton of research on the PS2, but I assumed the GameCube was the more powerful system as of hardware.
It was a slight uptick.
But still the most powerful.
Of that generation?
Yes.
No, the Xbox was by far.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
It was large and far more powerful.
But I don't know.
It was more powerful than what it ever needed to be. That thing was a tank. And literally and inside.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if doing a little more research, maybe those will play it.
It's
I hear that some of them they got people like, yeah, they play some games okay, but other games it's
when you're talking
really
about
bad.
emulation, then you're going to be looking at uniqueness in hardware,
right,
and the little things that they put into each system to make it work the way it does, and then the devs make the games to work according to what the system has in it, not to what and the emulation is trying to emulate that hardware into software, and that's not always a one-to-one thing to be able to do that. I think I mentioned it last week with the N64. It's very difficult sometimes, and it was for a long time.
And I did a little bit of research on that Dolphin. So far, what I've seen, yet again, I haven't spent hours on this because we don't have that much time.
No,
it is what I've seen, and everybody's saying on this Pi that it works and it runs the games as they should be. That's all I care about.
Right.
Now, there's certain games that have to run right. Like, if I'm going to sit here and play Mario Kart 64, it better be right.
Sure.
Mario Kart 60 or Mario 64, it's got to be right.
Now, you also do have some of these systems that are like, your GameCube and like your 360 or your
right.
Which really I really should just say like your OG Xbox, your GameCube, and your PS2. We have talked about getting you an adapter to put them out to HDMI,
right?
Because you bought an HDMI splitter.
I did,
so that way we can utilize one for all of them, and all
for three, yeah.
Because all you would need to do then is because it doesn't really make sense for you to buy an adapter for each one,
right?
Maybe, and even then, it's like for like how many games do you have on your OG Xbox?
Looks like over 12 at least.
Hmm.
That's that far second shelf from the bottom all the way to the right.
The OG Xbox has more games that do 480i output, right. So you could get the component converter for that, which is a little bit more expensive, but really, it's like, do the games you have really utilize it? Do the games you have, are you really going to want to play it that much versus spending that much for the component version? Because the component to HDMI to your screen is going to look a hell of a lot better than just a regular AV port that you're going to do with the GameCube. Because GameCube, you could do those component cables, but they're like $150.
I don't have the component. They don't have the ability to do that with this one.
Oh, okay. Well,
I sold the
other one that did.
The other one that did,
okay. because like those cables are so freaking expensive because they have a proprietary chip in them. But you could do an S-Video one, which is going to be a little bit slightly better than a regular AV for that and the PS2, and honestly, probably for the Xbox as well. Because I mean, if you had a much bigger Xbox collection, I would say go for it, because some of the games that you can play on there are going to look really nice and crisp.
Right.
When you put those up through the HDMI converter, it's going to look pretty good. But I mean, if you only have 12, it's probably not that big a deal. One S-Video converter, and then you can just switch out what system you want to plug into it. Have that plugged into the HDMI. That way, that's there.
Right.
And then you can just switch out what system. Because, like, while you do have an emulator that would do GameCube, that would do possibly PS2, if you have the hardware, I mean, you could. It's always fun to tinker and get it to work. But
see, for me, there's only a handful. Like, there's certain games on the Cube that I have to have.
Sure.
And that's Sunshine, Double Dash, and what's the other one? Wind Waker, which I don't have Wind Waker on.
And Metroid.
And Metroid.
I was gonna say, I like it.
Well, I have the Metroids on the Wii.
Well, I know, but it's on the GameCube.
Right.
I
have I have one Metroid Prime. I do not have Metroid Prime Echoes.
Well, then you need to go buy it.
I'm not. That's not on the priority list.
I didn't say now. I didn't say let's go to replay right now.
But
it's not that expensive.
The main things I want to do is like PS1. Those are that's my core.
Well, yeah, and that'll do that.
And that'll do that. And that's what matters to me, is like being able to do PSP. It's hard to stream the PSP.
Yeah.
So now we have the capability to just pop, done.
Actually, I already have the ability to pop, done.
Right. But
I bought the cables like a long time ago for that.
But I mean, it was a way to condense.
Sure.
And currently, I cannot use the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo, the Genesis.
I can on my TV. I have a proprietary cord that condenses all those cords into one input.
Well, that's what I have. But this TV, being a 4K, does not have analog anymore. So I'm only
That was
on
the sound of me rolling my eyes.
Yeah. So I can only do digital, and everything so would that be let's say generation 2 or generation 3 on gaming generations.
Well,
is digital. So Super Nintendo is not.
Right.
It's analog. Genesis is not.
No.
And NES obviously is not.
Yeah.
I consider that generation 2. NES is generation uno.
Well, okay. Well, there's actual classifications for that.
Right. But,
generation 1 is Pong.
Well, whatever. For me, it is not Pong. It is NES.
Because I don't know if this is the 8th gen or 9th gen that we're in. I don't even remember. My pickup is not gaming; it's music. I got new vinyl.
Yeah,
I did. Last week I was in your house and we were late recording a little bit because I spent a good half hour ranting. And raving about a certain vinyl that's not going to get repressed.
As of right now.
As of probably never. At this point, I give up.
See.
I waved the white flag. I have 3 more vinyls to get in that set for that band, and I'm done.
And it's going to cost you more than everything else you've bought.
Mm.
All 3 of them? Yeah, it will.
Everything else that I bought in my vinyl collection right now?
Not in your vinyl collection, but with those specific band.
With that band?
Because you said 2 of them are about $100.
Yeah. So it's 2. So those 2 would be $225. So all right, so $225 for that's 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So for Storm Rider offerings, Saga, Days of Purgatory, and Horror Show, I got those 5.
Say those are $30. Let's just say they're $30 a piece.
I already know how much I spent for those because I got those half price.
Okay.
So that was a total of about $72.
For all those.
For all those, okay. And then I spent another $25 for Something Wicked. So there's $97. Then I spent another $60 for Dystopia. I got Dystopia and I got Live in Ancient Kurion.
Right.
From the same seller.
Right.
Then I spent another $70. I'm already at $227.
Yeah, but still, that's almost
I've
worth.
spent another $70 on the Something Wicked 1, Something Wicked 2, the Framing Armageddon, and Crucible Man. So I spent $70 because those are $35 a piece. Okay. Then I spent another $30 on Plagues.
Right.
Then I spent another. It's either 25 or 30. Pick one.
30.
Another 30. I spent 30 on the regular Incorruptible. I spent another 75 on the Incorruptible art book vinyl.
Right.
Then I spent 120.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
No. You said.
Well, here's the thing. You have multiples of each one.
No, I don't. So far, the only one I've double spent was the black vinyl and the art book vinyl. They're different. One is 12-inch, one is 10-inch.
Okay.
That's the only one I have a multiple one of. And then I spent like 120 to 125. We'll do 125 because I think it was 127 shipped. Okay. Now, there is one other one that I have that is a double, Plagues of Babylon, that I have not opened. I got that for $25. I'm not counting that one because that's pretty much the same album on a black vinyl, just art, different art. Total already on Iced Earth, I have spent $489.
But still, for the last ones you need.
Well, they are the most expensive ones out out of the lot besides the Alive in Athens, because even though I spent 127 on it or whatever it was,
Right.
that was cheaper than the overall, like when it was on Discogs and it was missing shit. Like the lowest one that they had that was like, in quality, that was the cheapest one. It was like 140, 150 bucks. And I got it mint, which that's upwards of around $300.
Yeah.
I got it from that was a boom, boom, boom. Hell yeah. Now, Glorious is about $100. I could probably get it a little cheaper, but I'm going to go. I'm really going to try and go statewide if I can.
Right.
I don't want to order overseas if I can help it. I've done that. The wait is long, and the risk of damage or loss.
Right.
I have found one that is mint on Discogs. It's a little bit over 100 and I even found one that said free shipping for the States. However, he won't ship to anybody who has less than 5 positives. I only have 3 because I don't buy very often on Discogs. Anyway, the vinyl that I bought is not any of that crap. It's a new album from the Symphony X guitarist Michael Romeo.
Yeah.
I listened to it. I dig it. Really like what he did. The whole album is like you can listen to individual songs, but it's all tied together via symphonic arrangements. So when you start at like for song 1, it flows like a musical movement and like a story.
Right.
So like there's this one point where like you hear like this, it's a symphonic arrangement, and then you have the guitar, and it's like building and building and building and building and building and building and building, and then the bass drops. It goes into dubstep. And it mixes symphonic arrangement with dubstep.
Right.
It's different. Completely. It's not Skrillex dubstep, but it fits with the whole World of Worlds. That's the name of the album. It's part 1 of World of Worlds. And so far I'm really digging it. I've been listening to it a lot when I'm not listening to my podcast or audiobook.
Right.
I'm really digging it. It's in some ways, some songs feel like they are just songs that didn't make it onto one of the Symphony X records from a couple records ago. But there's also really cool things where he's bringing in symphonic arrangements from the Odyssey record from Symphony X that is really big and symphonic and epic, where it's like it's a little bit mixture of sounds. And the whole dubstep thing, when I first heard about it, I'm like, man, I don't know. And then I heard it in context. Yes, I like it, because I'm not big. I don't like that style of music. It's not me.
Yeah, me neither.
But like when it comes up there, I don't skip it, because it's like it's got some heavy guitars, it's got symphonic stuff, it's got that going on, and then it goes into this big kind of catchy hook where it goes away, and then after he's done singing that kind of chorus, it goes right back down a little bit and does it again and builds back up to the chorus, and then it ends up ending and goes into like another symphonic arrangement. It's really cool, and I liked it so much that I've decided that I'm just not going to buy CDs anymore. I'm over it. I'm done with it. I bought Incorruptible on CD
Right.
Before I started collecting vinyl. Really collecting vinyl, because I already had a few. But like I'm just like, I don't listen to CDs in the car. I listen to Spotify or
Right.
podcasts or audiobook. When I'm at home, I don't listen to CDs ever at home anymore. Ever. Like when I do listen to music, I throw on a vinyl. And so
I would love to be able to do that. I mean, I have the space to do it, but
there's the expense of just getting started.
I just don't want to start that, because like I've stated every time you mention this, if I go vinyl, it's all Zeppelin first off.
Sure.
And I know.
We all have that band that we would just go hog wild on.
I know.
And I want to get all the Metallica stuff still.
I know that I'm going to get screwed. What was that one we looked at? Was like $300 for the Stairway to Heaven single.
Well, for that, but I mean the thing is, and I'm gonna say this for anybody who's thinking even about buying some vinyl, pace yourself. Number one, you don't need everything, because you can listen to a lot of stuff that you know.
Yeah.
But also, think about what you want. How far down this rabbit hole do you want to go? Because I'm not collecting every discography for every band that I like. Trust me, like that's what I now use Spotify for. I know a lot of bands, they put their stuff out on there. They still want you to buy their music. But I am officially not going to buy vinyl unless I really dig the record.
Right.
You know, there's a band, Megadeth, classic example. There are some records from them I really dig and really like. I already have a few of them. And there's a few of them else that I would like to pick up on vinyl. But I'm not owning every record from them because for me, they're up and down. The one record will be really great. The next one, I like one song on there.
I know one that you'll probably try to get all of.
What's that?
Pantera.
Well, that one's easy, though, because like by that point, you got Cowboys, Vulgar, Driven, Great Southern, Steel, and maybe the live album.
Right.
I mean,
that's not a lot.
But when you have like a band like Metallica, who has shitload of albums. I mean, they're on like, I don't know if it's album 10 or 11. You know, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Puppets, Justice, Black, that's 5. Load, Reload, S&M. I'm getting S&M. Saint Anger. I would get Saint Anger.
Yeah.
Even though it's very, very detested. I can actually listen to it if I'm in the right mood because I actually appreciate it for what it is.
Right.
I know it's not great, but there's some songs on there that are really cool. So I lost count. Is that 9?
Sure. I wasn't even paying attention.
Okay, so count. Black Album. Okay,
Black Album was 5, and then
Load,
you went
6, 7, 8, 9. Death Magnetic was 10.
Yep.
And then Hardwired. I already have Hardwired. So I have Hardwired. I have Puppets. I have Kill 'Em All. I have Black Album. In fact, Joe gave me Black Album for free. He's like, here you go. He's like, I bought it. It's cool. I listened to it. I listened to a few songs. Then
here's one of my things, though. If I jump down that rabbit hole, somebody else is jumping with me. And when she goes, she's got a lot of bands that she's really, really, really into. And like me, I'd buy all the Tool and Perfect Circles. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty much the same. same. But stuff like that. And once that hole is jumped, she's not going to listen to it as much, but we'll buy it because we want it. She basically gets up in the morning, turns Spotify on, has her playlist, goes. I don't use it because I'm in the car for 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I get.
So
I've got my older CDs that I use.
Well, and that's just the thing, you know. It's not the right and most perfect thing for everybody.
Right.
But if you're just wanting to like have like a home theater thing, like some music, because like if you have people over, maybe throw on a record, listen to it, appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate the sound, appreciate the quality. Because I tell you what, all this modern stuff, I've heard a lot of cool stuff. I've got a few records from a lot of bands I like, and it sounds good. But the best sounding vinyl I've ever put on my record player was Deep Purple, Machine Head.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a few songs. I'm like, man, this sounds just so clear. And then, quite literally, it's almost poetic. Smoke on the Water starts playing, and I feel like I'm in the fucking room with them.
Right.
It's so weird. So anyway, I bought the Michael Romeo War of the Worlds record. It's great. I can't wait for it to get here because I ordered it last week. And guess what? Estimated 1 to 4 weeks to delivery because they got to bring it in overseas. And then after it gets here in the States, it's going to take like 2 days to get to me. It's on Prime. So I'm excited to give it a spin because like I haven't been hanging out in the game room a lot lately because of how hot it gets back during the summer.
Yeah.
And so like I didn't stream it all last week. I've been wanting to go stream, but then I'm like, man, it's freaking hot back there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it getting a little cooler so I can stream more back there.
What is it you're specifically wanting? Oh, you're wanting to go back to finish.
I need to finish The Last of Us. I still have I'm at the point where I took over as Ellie.
Yeah.
And then I actually want to pause and play the DLC right then and there.
Yeah.
And then come back and do the Ellie storyline with her and the cannibals. And then, of course, after that is the last chapter.
Yep.
So I'm almost done with that. And then I also do want to try, I mean, FF7 is going to be a long run.
Yeah.
I just got past Costa del Sol on my way to Barrett's place. So, and I haven't
Costa
played
del
that
Sol.
for,
I love Costa del Sol.
Yeah.
I really love the Final Fantasy 14 redo of it. And I showed you that because I was like, you have to come over and look at this. It looks awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I am back and forth on whether or not I want to try and save up over the next 2 weeks to get Spider-Man. I do want it. Trust me, I do want to play it because I want to play.
I will get it eventually, yes.
I definitely want to get it. And also, if it's still there, guys, check out Amazon. The PS4, Spider-Man PS4 is now back in stock, or it was, and our good buddy Jeremiah at work picked one up.
He did?
He got one, yeah.
He took the plunge? Let's find out if it's there right now.
Because it was yesterday.
Well, not
It was
live.
announced yesterday as we record this. Recording things on Wednesday, August 8th. And, of course... now that we're done with our pickups while you're trying to look that up, we have some news. I actually have a long list of news. We're going to try and get through them pretty quickly.
It is currently unavailable.
Oh, it's already sold out.
Yep.
Wow, he was one of the lucky few, man.
Yep.
Lucky few. Awesome. Well, congratulations to him. So, Mike, first
Brando.
news topic of the day is a continuation of last week's.
Oh, yeah?
Massively popular ROM site, EmuParadise, effectively shut down after 18 years.
Really?
Yes. From comicbook.com, they write, for some, EmuParadise was more than a site with a wide assortment of ROMs. It was essentially a museum that celebrated retro gaming and even reminded us of certain games that are hard to come by in physical form. But after 18 years of operations, they are closing down. Based on this report from Reddit, while we won't link the site itself, we were able to get our hands on a letter regarding its closure. And written, the letter states, many of you are aware of the situation with regards to emulation sites that has been changing recently. What you probably don't know is that we at EmuParadise have been dealing with the similar issues for all 18 years of our existence. From receiving threatening letters in the early years to our host suddenly shutting down our servers due to complaints, we've seen it all. We've always complied with the takedown requests, but as you can see, that is a no longer guarantee of anything. I started at EmuParadise 18 years ago because I never got to play many of these amazing retro games while growing up in India, and I wanted other people to be able to experience them. Over the years, many folks have joined in and contributed to this vision, and I think I can say that we've been successful in spreading our passion for retro games far and wide. Though through the years, I've worked tirelessly with the rest of EmuParadise team to ensure that everyone could get their fix of retro gaming. We've received thousands of emails from people telling us how happy they've been to rediscover and even share their childhood with the next generations of their families. We've had emails from soldiers at war saying that the only way they got through their days was to be lost in retro games that they played when they were children. We've got emails from brothers who've had lost their siblings to cancer and were able to find solace in playing the games they once did as children. There are countless stories like these. It's been a long and beautiful journey with many ups and downs. When I started EmuParadise, things could have gone either way. But right now, the direction that they're going in could not be more clear. So where does that leave us? It's not worth it for us to risk potentially disastrous consequences. Cannot in good conscience risk the futures of our team members who have contributed to this site throughout the years. We run EmuParadise for the love of retro games and for you to be able to revisit those good times. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now to do so in a way that makes everyone happy and keeps us out of trouble. This is an extremely emotional decision for me after running this site for so many years, but I believe it's the right thing for us at this point in time. Thus, we've decided to make a new start. We will continue to be passionate retro gamers, and we will keep doing cool stuff around retro games, but you won't be able to get your games from here for now. Where we go with this is up to us and up to you. We still have our emulators database, the community, and everything that comes along with that. We have already made several plans of what is going to happen next. It's going to be a fun and new beginning, and there's going to be lots to come. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments about what you think we should do. But for now, we need to make this change. We've served the community for 18 glorious years, and it's been a hell of a ride. But every end is a new beginning, and we're excited to find a way forward to continue being your #1 emulation destination. Thank you for supporting us through this journey. We could not have done this without you. Without you visiting us, telling your friends about us, uploading screenshots and descriptions, telling us when something was wrong, letting us know when we messed up, and more. Thank you for being part of our community and encouraging us throughout all these years.
Wow.
It's happening, man.
I know. It's time to pick them up now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually looking at this stuff now, making sure that they're still up.
Man, as a gamer, And as a collector, I'm very passionate about playing the games on their hardware. That's the reason why I made my game room. That's the reason why I went through the lengths to get an awesome TV for that, to get switchers, to get the right cords that I wanted, the right quality out of all the systems I have hooked up. But at the same time, I don't discourage people to not do emulation. My big factor with emulation is like, really, the main point, as long as it's no longer really financially viable. Like, I understand it's their IP, so they're going to try and be protective of that. I totally get that, man.
Right.
100%. But yeah, man, the tides are a changing, man. They're shutting down our ROM sites, blocking the Alex Jones show. The internet, man, is not the place that it used to be.
It's not.
But yeah, that's a kind of a downer thing to start with, but
one of the links for the best place to get your ROMs, and one of the things I'm doing, EmuParadise, and I'm on it now. They're still there for now.
Are they? Well, moving on. Of course, today Nintendo Direct had their Smash Brothers thing. I told you about this the other day in text, that I heard they were going to be doing another Smash Brothers Direct, which is crazy since they spent so much time talking about Smash Brothers
right
at the last Direct. But they're adding more characters. They're adding in Simon Belmont and Richter from Castlevania, and they're adding in what the Donkey Kong villain, like what did I say his name was?
Crap, I can't remember.
I'm loading up the article. I mean, it's not really an article, it's just a list. King K. Rool. King Rool. So, yeah, those are some of the new characters. Of course, they've said there's like 103 stages or something like that. And then, of course, they also announced the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Limited Edition, which features the game, a GameCube controller, and a GameCube adapter. Of course, I don't know how much of that is. It doesn't say necessarily. Nintendo of America have not announced an American version of that yet. But the game will launch on December 7th. I assume, hopefully, they'll come out with that. But also, every new character will get its own amiibo, of course.
Of course.
So
that means I'll be getting Dark Samus.
Yeah, so there's that. Also, as this podcast is released on the day of course, we're recording this the day before, the new Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay trailer is coming tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see where Rockstar's taking this and all that kind of jazz. Right along the lines of where we thought it was going to be. We kind of thought it would be before August hit, but it's right in the early weeks here. Of course, with Red Dead releasing at the end of October, mine's already been ordered for a year and a half. So there's that. I'm really excited to see what's going on with the good old Red Dead Redemptions. Now, check this out, because I actually had this story from a few weeks ago. The story on IGN dates back to July 16th. And apparently, Germany is banning online pre-orders for games with vague release dates. Note that it says here that Germany has reportedly banned online retailers for offering pre-orders of video games with unspecified release dates. As reported by Eurogamer, online retailers can no longer offer pre-orders for games without being able to ensure an approximate delivery date, meaning that games that are simply put coming soon cannot be pre-ordered. A consumer protection group brought the issue to the Higher Regional Court of Munich, which determined that customers have the right to know when a game is coming before putting money down on it. Quote, when consumers order goods on the internet, providers must specify when the goods are going to be delivered, said Wolfgang, butchering your last name, CEO of Dusseldorf Consumer.
Dusseldorf.
And
you will forever be known as Dusseldorf from now on.
This ruling follows a consumer protection claim made against German retailer MediaMarkt over online pre-orders of the Samsung Galaxy S6 back in 2016, but their initial ruling now officially applies to all products ordered online, which includes video games.
So with this being said, I feel for you, Germany, because a lot of the times when they put out these collector's editions, pre-orders, I know Amazon's been doing basically just putting out a random date. They'll do December 31st of the end of the year.
Right.
Just to give you a placeholder so that you can pick that up.
Yeah.
That sucks because it's going to be vague. Hi, dog meat. It's going to be vague, and it's not going to be the right date. And it probably won't have a rating.
So I actually do have a Fallout news piece.
Oh, a Fallout news piece.
So the Fallout 76 beta will be
Yes.
the full game, and progress will carry over.
That is fucking awesome.
When Fallout 76's beta breaker early test application arrives in October, it will be the full game, and any progress made will carry over into the launch version. Revealed in the Fallout 76 beta FAQ, Bethesda states that the current plan for beta is it will be the full game, and all your progress will be saved for launch. The FAQ also notes that there will be no NDA, so players will be able to discuss, post screenshots, stream, etc. when they begin playing.
Awesome. Thank you, Bethesda. That's the way to do it because it is free promotion.
And also, it'll be like, hey, this is what's good about it. Hey, this isn't what's good about it.
But that's what they want.
Exactly. This is their first foray into a big multiplayer thing like this, and they want the criticism, they want the praise, they want both.
Yep.
You know, and they're not going to hide it. You know, a couple of weeks ago, community administrator
Good luck.
Jurassica. It was like Jurassic and Jessica. Jurassica revealed that the beta will begin in October, and Bethesda will be selecting people who have pre-ordered the game from a participating retailer. She also confirmed that they would start small and grow over time. The Fallout 76 beta will begin first on Xbox One.
Well, yeah, we knew that.
With PS4 and PC to follow sometime later.
Which I'm okay with because that means I get to watch.
Apparently, Quakecon 2018 begins this Thursday.
It does.
And on Saturday, August 10th, there will be a Fallout 76 panel that will see Todd Howard and other Bethesda Game Studios developers discussing more about the upcoming title.
Yep. I will be watching that. Not live because we'll be at work, but...
Well, it also depends on where it is and what time. So,
and if I'm able to, you're damn right I'm watching it live.
So here's a neat little tidbit that I found. This is from Monday. Capcom execs prefer games that review well and sell less than games that review poorly and sell more.
I agree with that because it's showing that you're putting out quality games. Not everybody's putting their hands on it, but that good reviews and all that jazz is going to be... Eventually, somebody's going to look and say, well, I'm thinking about this, and they look at it, and they're going to pick it up eventually. So, long run, I agree.
It says here in the article, while it seems obvious that video game companies want their games to sell well, at least one Capcom executive believes that the company should focus should be on the quality of their releases, just like you said. In a recent interview with GamesIndustry.biz, Capcom Europe COO Stuart Turner explained that while he believes critical reception is key in relation to Resident Evil 7 compared to Resident Evil 6, while Resident Evil 6 has drastically higher, while 7 has drastically higher review scores on Metacritic, 6 sold 2 million more units as of March 2018. While we have shareholders to appease, it's not just about commercial performance. There's an artistic element that always comes in where we know this is the right way. And if we compare RE7 to RE6, the absolute numbers are not the same in terms of profitability. It's completely fine. It ticked all our boxes internally. It's really well received. And in some respects, getting some very good review scores counts as much for Capcom as a game that sells millions and millions and millions. We prefer a game that got a 9 and sold less than a game that got 6 but sold more.
Here's the thing. Capcom's doing everything right, which we've stated before, but the big one is the remake of RE2. That, to me, is going to... I mean, as what we've seen, yeah, you did check box on exactly what we all wanted. All us old school gamers wanted this, and you delivered. Obviously, we haven't seen it, haven't had hands on it, so we don't know if it's 100% delivered, but it looks freaking phenomenal. If you do this and it's great, that's what you need.
Apparently, Capcom is floored by the fan reception. Like, they were like, okay.
Oh, of 2?
Of like what it's already got. They're like, oh my gosh, this is great. They're loving it. Awesome. Because just imagine how nervous you can be reimagining a game that's so important to so many people.
It is. And just, I mean, I've watched the gameplay multiple times with Joanna, and she's just like, it looks awesome. You played games like this? And I'm like, that's the thing. Here's what it looked like before. She's like, like, yes, but in that era, that game was, you had to play that game.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't own a PlayStation, you don't play that game.
Right. Resident Evil 7 was no sales slouch. It moved 5.1 million units as of last official count, while RE6, excuse me, almost REs, has hit 7.1 million over time as well. Of course, that has had a next-gen kind of release as
right.
well. And somebody from the Capcom marketing director went on to say that day one sales aren't as important as they used to be, and they're hoping that RE7 continues to have long-term success, especially with, he views it as a flagship VR title.
I'll agree with that. Tell you what, that VR, it's fucking intense to the short amount of time that we and her tested it.
I bet. Because
we started off in a spot that we knew was like right where the dude, like the first real big one where he bursts through the wall at you and dies right there, but you're like, holy shit. Well, she does, actually. But
I have no doubt what she sounds like. Some of the cuss words that your wife makes up are just hilarious.
Tell me about it. But I really hope, I mean, right now Capcom is on fire. I mean, as we've said before, Monster Hunter Worlds is doing fantastic, and they are constantly giving us free updates, free creatures to fight, free uniform.
Did that big crossover with FF, you know.
But they dropped Behemoth already.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Blaine was actually telling me, our good friend Blaine from Podcastrophe, he said that when you fight it, it actually like you have to fight it like you're in FF7 with an aggro and with...
You have to tank it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's legit.
Well, like you have to have one tank and you have to one background doing, like damage from the back. So it also will actually up in the corner, like it'll start telling you like the names of the attacks, like just like an FF's, like with everything. So he said,
which is awesome.
He said they made it really feel kind of like an FF fight.
And to me, that they did a fantastic job with it. A lot of people are obviously with Monster Hunter. There are ways to break shit.
Sure.
that's Monster Hunter. You find that. I can break this and just absolutely destroy it. And there's people doing it, but still, it's fun. I have yet to play it because any free time that I haven't even really messed with my Pi yet. I've had it for a couple days now, which I'm actually going to go ahead and do my downloads because it seems like I didn't think that a lot of these sites are going to be affected this way, but it seems like it's cutting all of it down, the ROM sites.
I think the whole attack on the first one, scared some people.
Yeah, Nintendo. I think that Nintendo's going to win, and I think that they're going to hurt them bad.
Here's the thing, legally,
it's their property.
They're in the right.
So,
and while you're dealing with a number of different companies and different IPs from different people that require it all boils down to some of the bigger ones coming in going, nope. And while if you took all of theirs down but left other ones up, you would be missing. You'd have gaping holes in the library.
Yep.
Other news. So there's a Metal Gear Solid movie getting made.
Yeah.
And the director, Jordan Vogt-Roberts, says the film is their different approach to a video game movie. And will be made to reflect Hideo Kojima's approach to storytelling.
Oh, so you're going to be confused the entire time until the end, and you're going to be like, okay.
In an interview with Collider, he says he wants to make a film adaptation of Metal Gear Solid that appeals to the hardcore fans of the series, but also make a general audience fall in love with it. Even if I wasn't involved in this movie, I would read the script and say, "Holy shit!" It represents a different approach to a video game movie. It represents a different approach to how a 3-act structure is put on screen. As well as Snake and Big Boss, he plans to expand the cast with a number of other characters, saying that these two figureheads of the franchise define themselves based on relationships of the people around them. So much of the game ends up being the tragedy of that these characters experienced. You have a boss fight. Instead of feeling like you accomplished something, you feel a sense of loss, which is such a unique Metal Gear feeling. It's important that those characters are surrounded by a roster of people. So we're finding the exact right amount of people that where we can introduce enough of them where it feels robust, and where we can define Snake or Boss through these characters, but not enough to get lost. He also wants the threat of mutually assured destruction and fear of nuclear war to be at the forefront of the film.
Yeah.
Adding that a lot of work has been done to make the Metal Gears themselves seem relevant in a really cool way. Talking about a potential rated R rating, he still wants to keep the cost down somewhat. It's about doing it for a price so you can make it riskier, balls to the wall Kojima-san version of it. Director he's been keen to make a film that touches people in the way that the game affected its audience, stressing that he will be fighting to make it the best version of it on screen because he believes that it's a world that people are ready to see. Despite the series' convoluted plot and somewhat bombastic nature, Vogt Roberts seems confident that he can make an adaptation that will draw in fans and of the game and moviegoers alike.
Here's my question. Which game are you going to make your...
He's being vague. Notice he said the two main protagonists of the series, other than Raiden,
right,
two, it has been Big Boss or Solid Snake.
Yep.
He is saying Snake or Boss or Snake. He's being vague about that.
I think a good one would be Peace Walker.
Peace Walker, or if that's the case, start with Snake Eater. It's the actual real beginning of the story.
Yeah.
And if you're going to start there, it would make it the less confusing if you were able to keep them going.
Snake Eater would definitely be the less confusing.
Well, because I've always said that the original Metal Gear Solid and Snake Eater are the ones where you're new players that can jump in and not have to worry about having played any of the other ones.
I just totally botched that. I said Peace Walker. That's Ryan's story.
Huh?
I totally botched that, but continue.
You botched what?
I said Peace Walker.
Instead of?
Snake Eater.
Oh, well, no, Peace Walker is like the sequel to Snake Eater.
Right, but you need to do Snake Eater first.
Yes.
And then do Peace Walker.
And then Phantom Pain.
Pain.
Metal Gear 2. Like, the thing is that, like, where do you start? Because, like, the way they do it right now is that Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 are the old games, the retro games, that you don't need to play and are referenced enough for you to look, just this happened, right?
But Snake Eater is big. I mean, that is the story.
We need to sit down and stream Snake Eater with you, just that way you can experience the story.
We'll be able to.
Well, I mean, we just need to, because even though you haven't gotten into it so much,
I know the story to a degree.
Well, I mean, but to know it, but then to also sit there and be able to play through it and follow it for the beats and everything, man, it's a fucking masterpiece of that era of gaming. Just like how great MGS1 is. That's why I rate Snake Eater so high, because somehow Kojima was able to do what he did with MGS1, do that again, but then give you so many fucking feels and make you care about these characters. And a story that's convoluted, that's crazy, over the top, what the fuck is going on? And then you're sitting there, and he made such a great spy movie.
Yeah.
With that, to where at the very end, shit just falls into place, and you're like,
I get it.
Oh my god,
it'll be a good movie.
I didn't see that, so I'm really excited. I'm a big Metal Gear fan, and it sounds like this guy is too. And this is what you want. Yeah, if you're gonna make a video game movie, I want a guy who's passionate. Well,
like the guy that made the,
like the Uncharted fan film we just talked about.
Fucking amazing.
And then of course I told you that, like, we were like, I don't know the old guy that plays Sully. Well, he's the freaking villain in Avatar.
Yeah.
And
neither one of us caught it.
No, like I saw it later and I'm like, oh my gosh! And then I started seeing the guy in like the mech and avatar with a mustache, and I'm like, that's him.
Yep.
And then that passion is what we need. Like I was talking with Blaine the other day. It was some sort of like, Henry Cavill from Superman. He's the newer Superman. He wants to play Geralt of Rivia of The Witcher.
Right.
They're doing a
Witcher.
Yes,
he does.
They're doing a Witcher TV series for Netflix, and he's like, I want to do that. And Blaine was like, I don't know. And I'm like, if he wants to do it, I want to see him do it.
Right.
Because to me, the people who want to do something are the ones that are going to really put everything that they can into it.
The ones that are literally at the forefront, it's like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this movie, and they're literally screaming in the forefront, me, pick me. I know this. I love this series. I want it. They're going to give you the full adaptation, the love, the heart that you want to see in a movie, period, or a series,
Jeffrey
whatever.
Dean Morgan, he's Negan in The Walking Dead. When they called him, his agency was like, hey, The Walking Dead wants you to read for a part. He's like, is it Negan? Because if it is, sign me up. I want it. And they're like, well, they won't say who it is. I was like, get him on the phone.
Right now, I'm not gonna.
He knew roundabouts where they were getting ready to be in the show, and he had read the comics, and he was a fan. And he's like, yes, I want to play that, and it got him excited. And then of course he's on screen, and he fucking nails it, And then there was one where I was talking to Blaine about that whole thing, and I said, a long time ago, there was an actor who is not the greatest actor in the world. He does his own thing. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Okay? Some movies he's great. Other movies he's Keanu Reeves.
Right.
He's always Keanu Reeves. But
Right.
sometimes that Keanu Reeves fits the story. He really wanted to be a part of and be a driving force into an adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, the anime, for a live action. He wanted to play Spike Spiegel. And I'm like, I don't see him as Spike Spiegel. Spike Spiegel is this nonchalant, hands in pocket, very bored looking dude. Keanu looks sad all the time.
Yes, he does.
But from that aspect, to me, it was like, man, I don't know. But on the other hand, he is so passionate about it that he wants to do it. That means he is going to put his heart into it and try and make it something that honors what it is.
Yeah.
And can be here. It's not, when you're looking at something, you can't just expect Metal Gear Solid, the movie, to be what you played.
No.
Because it's not going to be. But I'm excited for people who are passionate. And I want to see this guy's movie, because it's like, if he's this passionate about it, he shared for the 31st or something anniversary of it, the weekend, he got on Twitter and shared concept art that they've done for the movie with Grey Fox and all this shit.
It's awesome.
It looked really cool. Moving on, sir, some news that we talked about today. Octopath.
1 million sales.
Congratulations, Square and Octopath, with your accomplishment there. That's awesome.
And they have stated that they did not expect this whatsoever at all. They expected lifetime sales of 1 million, and they're at 1 million within, a month?
Yeah.
So, and they also announced, following that statement, yes, I'm taking that over, that you can expect more games like Octopath in the future, that they're focusing more on that because of the great success of this game. I love the game. I'm about 24 hours deep now, because minimal amount of time,
Sure.
but
We've been working a lot.
I love it. I like that there's, so you could be OP as fuck quickly if you know what you're doing.
Sure.
And I'm at that point where I've seen a guy like, oh wow, look, 3% steal rating. Well, I'm going to spend 30 minutes trying to steal this, because if it's a 3% steal rating, that means that is top notch in that area.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting, and I'm still getting fucked up. I just fought a guy. I didn't have, is it Miguel? He is a twin spear like rogue dude. That one of my favorite characters so far, just because his demeanor and his story and his character development has been awesome. Is Alphen is he's like this guy that thinks he needs to save everyone in the world, and he comes to realize that some people do not need to be saved. And this guy, literally after he saves him, steals a kid, stabs the kid for a ransom. So he feels guilty. He goes after him. Well, I fought him, and it took me about 6 tries to figure out my specific setup on how to take him down, because he can back-to-back one-shot everybody in the game.
Yeah.
At once. Just done. Because I'm rocking 2K health. Everybody's rocking 2K health, and he's hitting me for 600 times 2 every swing, and then if he does it back-to-back, I'm toast. So it's cool. I really like that. I like the fact that I'm really overpowered. Like, anywhere I go, I'm smoking crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to this guy, and I'm like, you know what? Screw you. Just screw you. Is this a it doesn't matter what your level is. This is a skill check here. Are you skill checking me? But eventually I figured it out. I was able to do what I needed to do without doing specifics, because we have another topic to discuss.
So apparently it's quite possible we could be seeing a new Bravely Default game.
Yes.
Or a Switch port of the other 2 games.
I'm thinking that we'll get a Switch port, and they'll see how it goes. And if it does well, which I believe that it will, we will get a 3. Also, Child of Light port announced to the Switch with a teaser of Child of Light 2.
Hell yeah.
So that's awesome. Nintendo is doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. One
Good
more
for them.
news.
Okay.
Before we... No, well, I guess there's 2. First one is about BioWare.
What about BioWare?
So BioWare has been working hard on Anthem.
Yes.
And Casey Hudson, they were at... they did a BioWare Midsummer Update. And Casey Hudson, who's the now the general manager of BioWare, said, "We hear loud and clear the interest in BioWare doing more Dragon Age and Mass Effect. So rest assured, we have some teams hidden away working on some secret stuff that I think you'll really like. We're not just ready to talk about any of it for a while."
They don't want to pull anything away from Anthem right now.
No. But like typical studios, when you've got people, not everybody can be working on the game at the same time.
Right.
So whatever you're doing in the game, if you're a part of the team, sometimes some people are waiting for other people to get done with other parts. It's all a big process. So they're like, "Hey, why don't you go work on this for a while? See what you can do. Come up with some ideas for this."
Right.
Just fiddle around with it while we're still working on this.
Kind of like Bethesda dropping the mic. Oh, yeah. By the way, we are working on the next Elder Scrolls game. Mm-hmm. Here's a little bit about it. And there's like thousands of videos of people picking apart and, well, this is where it is and this is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And that's awesome that they literally just, hey, this is what we're doing. Drop the mic.
And just like with, Naughty Dog had their entire team working on Uncharted 4 and then Uncharted Legacy.
Right.
Lost Legacy. But then there was probably a couple people back there like Last of Us Part 2 tinkering either with initial concepts or ideas or something while they were still working on that. So
I'm wondering if that's their story team. They pull a story team. Once that story team's got a story out, and then the designers and stuff are trying to bring that story to life.
Well, sometimes it can start with story. It can also start with just like general, like what would we want to see, like locales or what kind of story, Uncharted 4 is a pirate type story, so like that's something we hadn't seen yet. It can all vary and be a little different. So the last thing is the PS Plus versus Xbox Games with Gold. Now, the last time, I want to say last week, that I saw the Xbox Games of Gold the day our podcast came out. So it was like the next day, here it is. But now we do have the August version of this. If it would load for me. Please do that. Please do that. Please do that.
What, is there a net down?
No, it's not. It's loading up partial of a portion of the page. And you know what? I'm just screw you then. I'm just gonna go to what I searched yesterday to find that, and I went to the actual website page. because now this loaded up just fine. Screw you, app. All right. So, as we said last week, the PS Plus games for August were Mafia 3, Dead by Daylight. Those are on the PS4. The PS3 games are Bound by Flame, Serious Sam BFE Edition. And then for the Vita, Draw Slasher and Space Hulk, as well as 2 VR games. A bonus VR game, my bad. Here They Lie is from August 7th through October 2nd. The Xbox, if you have Xbox Gold. The first one is an Xbox One game. Forza Horizon 2.
Wow. That's a big one.
The next one is a Xbox One game. For Honor.
Wow.
Yeah. Then the last 2 are the 360 games. Dead Space 3. And Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2.
Wow. That's really good.
I know. Those are like the 4 of those. Yeah. Now the overall retail value of each, the Sony ones with the all 3 systems, is like $15 more, but apparently retail price for Honor, like at least online, is still $60.
Really?
Forza Horizon 2 is $20, but still, like that's a good little. Yeah, dude, you'll be set for that month for sure.
Yeah.
That I would say Xbox wins that hands down. Even though the on the PlayStation side with Mafia 3 and those Bound by Flame and the BFE edition, those are some good selections. But man, they don't. I think Xbox definitely takes it.
Yes.
All right, sir. It's time. We've talked about it in the early. We teased it with the greatest controller of all time. We have made a bracket, or I have made a bracket.
Yes.
So, for the traditional bracket of 32, I could stretch it to 32, but I decided 32 is a bit much. I'm not going to stretch it. I'm not going to put some of these other controllers I don't really feel like deserve it. There are actually some on here I had to stretch it to get to 24. Like, to be completely honest. Some of these on here I really don't think really need to be on here. But I did it just to get to that. So,
let me pull it up.
So I did a completely random thing. Now with the 24 instead of 32, there are going to be some here that get buys to the second round. Some of these are going to have to contend to make it to the second round, but it's all random. I randomized the list, so nobody gets a favored.
Go ahead.
Nobody gets like a favored, like for example, the first one, the Switch Pro controller, it gets a buy, even though you and me both love that controller. That saving it for the second round and it didn't have to fight for it, wasn't a thing. But the GameCube and Super Nintendo controller.
That's a rough one. Man, that's a hard one because I love the GameCube controller.
I love the GameCube controller.
The biggest thing for me is like the top 3 for me are my hardest because the Switch Pro is going to the next round. But I've got to select between the GameCube
and the SNES.
And
then the winner of that takes on the Switch Pro.
Right. And really, I mean, to me, the GameCube controller is one of the best controllers ever made. But this Switch Pro controller is the best controller I have ever felt. Period. Everything is smooth. Everything is just the way it should be, in my opinion. And to put that up against the Cube controller is like...
I really like those matchups, too, because all 3 of those are Nintendo.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are gone, so they don't get to go on.
Yep.
The next one, the Switch Joy-Cons versus the DualShock 3.
I know my selection.
Well,
are we doing our selections now?
Well, we can. We can talk about which one we would pick.
I would do the Shock.
Now, see, I'm torn. I'm going to say the Joy-Cons because I'm looking at what...
That's true. Because I can see what you're...
Okay, so the DualShock 3 has the 6-axis. It has the motion, right?
Yeah.
But then the Joy-Cons, you have such range. You can handheld, separate.
That's true.
They can be used as Wiimotes, kind of like. And then, of course, put them in that little controller holder.
Yeah, and then you also have on
the sides. If you turn them on the side, you can use them as 2-player controllers.
Or the other way that you can make hand symbols. That it's not utilized yet, but I mean,
Right.
the versatility of the Switch Joy-Cons
Yes.
definitely outweighs the shock. I don't like the shock, but if I have to choose between the Switch Joy-Cons and the Switch Pro, it's the Pro every day.
Now, the next one is the original PlayStation controller, not the DualShock, the one without the sticks. The original OG, pretty much knockoff of the Super Nintendo. The winner of Joy-Cons and DualShock 3 will face the original PS1 controller.
To be honest, I'm not a super fan of the original PlayStation controller.
I did it because it's nostalgia.
Oh, I know.
The Sega Saturn versus the N64 controller. Now, there's a lot of detractors for the N64 controller. I like somewhat of the versatility, but it's a little cramped. The Sega Saturn controller, this is the original Saturn, is super comfortable.
It is a good
If you've ever had a chance to play with it, it is super comfortable. It is like pretty much, if there was ever a way to like enhance the old Genesis 6-button controller, it's the Sega Saturn. Because the winner of the Sega Saturn N64 will face the 6-button Genesis controller. And then, of course, you have the Wavebird.
I can't believe this
the
matchup.
DualShock 4.
Man, that's a hard one.
Yes. Now, the thing is, okay, so why did I put the GameCube and then the Wavebird on there? Both of them. Well, because like the Wavebird does have a different feel. It's a little bit different, and it's wireless.
Yes.
So
first wireless
first party wireless controller,
excluding the Nintendo had like an IR adapter.
Yes, but this was like a first true, 2.4 gigahertz, whatever it was, wireless controller with the dongle. It's awesome. But I also think the DualShock 4 is the best PlayStation controller they ever made.
I agree.
And, of course, that has innovation with the touchpad. Even though not every game uses it, it's there. And then the layout. Like, if there's ever a controller for the DualShock 4, like, if there's ever a controller, because I've always felt that, like, one of the best controllers I've ever just rested in my hands for for just how my layout is. It was the Xbox 360. It just rested perfectly.
I liked it.
It had a great ergonomic. But if there's ever a controller that has ever contested that, it's the PS4 controller.
Right. And then the next one is the Xbox One, which
gets a buy, and will face the Wavebird and DualShock 4 winner.
And then you're going with Atari 2600
versus the Wii U Pro controller. Now, that's an interesting matchup because, I mean, obviously, I put the 26 on here because, I mean, the 52 sucks. 5200 sucks. That's an awful controller. They break all the time. I've never played a 76, the 7800.
I haven't either.
Atari 7800. I never played that. And I didn't put Jaguar on here either because, I mean, I never really played it that much. And
how many games were made for the Jaguar?
Yeah. But, I mean, okay, but Atari 2600 was your first actual at-home joystick and button, and that's a classic. And then, of course, the Wii U Pro controller, I feel, is pretty underrated. I don't like the stick placement, but I know what they were doing with the gamepad, trying to mimic that, and it works, and it's comfortable. I played a lot of Breath of the Wild with that controller.
That's what I did.
And it works phenomenally. It's a really good controller. And, of course, that will go on to face the Saturn 3D controller, which is pretty much a precursor to the Dreamcast controller and was only really utilized for one game.
Yeah.
But it is something outrageously different, and one of the ones I put in to help me get to 24.
Fair enough.
But it is what it is. The Turbografx-16 controller. Now, this controller, again, was another one I put in there to get to 24. But it's if you look at it, it's like the NES controller next step.
Right.
If you look at it, it's definitely that. And it will be facing the Xbox 360 controller. I know which one I would pick. I just sort of gave that hint away.
360 all the way.
But it'll face, receiving a bye, the Wii U gamepad.
See, I don't dislike the pad. It is big and bulky. That's one of the big negatives.
It looks like it looks like a wireless gamepad made by Play School.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
But it's not too uncomfortable either. You know,
not.
I played a lot of games with it. It was fine. It's oddly very comfortable. I didn't like it for shooter.
No.
I was trying to play Mass Effect with it, and my hands got all cramped up. But, I mean, it was the first controller to ever have a second screen and a touchscreen. So,
Well, not a second. Well, a second full screen, yes. But
the next controller, the Dreamcast.
yeah.
The Dreamcast controller will end up facing the Wiimote.
See, I did not like the Dreamcast controller, but I also do not like the Wiimote.
Okay, so there are arguments for both here. I feel like the Dreamcast is very comfortable. I don't like the stick.
I don't like the stick, and I don't like the weight.
The cord coming out of the bottom of the controller is weird.
Yes.
But the fact that you can plug stuff into it, like a microphone or the memory stick, which has a screen, that could be utilized for some games.
In some games, you can pull the memory stick out and continue to like do some of the side
like
stuff,
mini games or something like that. But the Wiimote, I think there's an argument to be made that the Wiimote's actually kind of cool. It's very comfortable in your hand. It's very, very basic and very like back. Like it's almost like look at all these buttons. We're going forward, and Nintendo's like, nope, we're going back. You have minimal buttons. We're going very minimalistic. It's motion. The early ones not as great, but the Wii Motion Plus improved on it.
Yes.
It contours your hand with the A button and B button.
Right.
It's right there. It has a D-pad up top. And then, of course, with the nunchuck attachment, now you had a stick, a couple other buttons, but then you can also turn the controller on its side to do a D-pad and 1 and 2 buttons, or the classic A and B buttons.
Which is utilized in multiple games that I really like. And one of them would be the Other M.
Yep.
Metroid Other M. And the... What was it? The Mario game.
Super Paper Mario.
Yeah. No, not Paper Mario.
No, not that one.
The
Galaxy.
New Super
Mario Brothers.
Yes,
Okay,
I played the crap out of that. I liked it.
Super Paper Mario, you do this, but then there's times where you have to actually turn the Wiimote like this and point it at the screen to do something.
Right, and that's the way.
Back.
That's the way that the
it's just different
Metroid
and it's innovative and it's thinking out of the box.
Yes.
And that's why I think it deserves to be on here. But of course, it's going to be facing off with the Dreamcast controller. The winner of that one will face the original DualShock. Now, DualShock/DualShock 2, they're so similar in design that you can't you can't tell me that you tell a difference. I didn't put the dual analog before the DualShock, even though it's a different PlayStation controller. I just went ahead and did the original DualShock/DualShock 2.
Right.
You know, it's a classic design. It's better than the DualShock 3, seeing as how the DualShock 3 is like, we're going to have triggers that make your fingers slip off of them.
Now, the next matchup is a hard one for me.
The original NES controller will face the Xbox S controller, the slim
Duke.
Well, no, not the Duke. The Duke is it is the slim second controller that they came out with after test marketing in Japan. And Japan's like, our hands are too small. And so then they made this smaller condensed controller. And the winner of that will face the Duke.
Right.
Which is awesome because if Xbox wins, so you're going to have Duke versus the S, and you both can't win.
Right. Personally, I had a Duke, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
It was very heavy, but that controller, I played a lot of that game. That controller was great for Xbox games, but I had my Xbox emulated, so when I played like Super Metroid, it was hard.
I bet.
It was very hard.
What's going crazy over there?
Vacuum. Or a leaf blower.
Oh, outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, vacuum? She left the house. Your wife is not here. Who's
Right.
vacuuming downstairs?
But going back to the NES and Xbox S,
yeah.
it is hard to not pick the NES out of the fact that it is the controller.
It was the first to have a D-pad.
Yes.
It revolutionized. And okay, so I was tempted to, like, when I was thinking about 32, I was like, all right, so if we're going to do 32, throw the Master System on there. But it's kind of just a squishy version of the NES.
Yeah.
In fact, over in Europe, there was an exclusive design of the Master System controller that was the NES controller, essentially.
Yeah.
And when you actually take it apart and look inside of it, you see some of the same mold stamps. It's actually, and I was like, oh, if I ever got one, those are awesome, because then guess what? You can use those controllers pretty much. You can use the Master System controller and the Genesis controller on the Atari 2600.
Yeah.
And play it with a D-pad. So that's pretty cool.
But looking at this, when I look at this list overall, the hardest thing for me is to not go ahead and pick my winners. That's because I'm looking at it, and as I look through it, playing through, it's kind of like I want controllers to advance, like the DualShock 3. I personally wasn't a super big fan of it, but I'm also definitely not a fan of the Switch Joy-Con's comfort. To me, they are one of the most uncomfortable controllers. The whole reason why I bought a Pro Controller, a Switch Pro Controller, was because my hand was hurting with the little dock that you could do for the controller.
Yeah. I
did not like it. So... Right.
So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to do the round one. And I'm going to go through, and I'm going to go back to our messages because I messaged it to you.
That's where I'm looking at it at.
So round one, and I think we're going to do this as a vote, and we're going to have this up all week. I'm not sure where we should do it. Last time I utilized that group, but I don't want to flood that group with like a bunch of votes.
Right.
But
I think that you should still.
Well, I will. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go over there and ask and see what they would, if they would rather me just link it, because I can throw it up on our Twitter. I can throw each one of these up on our Twitter, but you guys got to go over to Twitter and check them out, because I'm going to put all of these up like the day that this podcast is up. All these round ones, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matchups. And round one, as we sort of said, the GameCube original versus the Super Nintendo, the Switch Joy-Cons versus the DualShock 3, the original Sega Saturn versus the Nintendo 64, the GameCube Wavebird versus the DualShock 4, the Atari 2600 versus the Wii U Pro, the Turbografx-16 versus the Xbox 360, the Dreamcast versus the Wiimote, and the NES versus the Xbox S. There's some great matchups in there.
There
and
is.
I'm so glad, because I was wondering, I'm like, man, I hope I can randomize this, because I don't want to do anything. I don't want to favor one or over the other by matchups.
It's hard to not.
But I'm so glad, because some of those are pretty hard, and it's only going to get harder as it goes on.
Like I said, the very first one is hard.
Yeah.
And then the second matchup of that tier is hard.
Well, yeah, because then when you're looking at, like you said, you didn't like the comfort, the comfort factor of the Joy-Cons, but you can't argue their innovation as well.
Right.
I mean, I love what some of these guys do with like their ideas for controllers.
And now you can also get, for the little dock/controller that you can do with the Joy-Cons, you can get a grip for those.
You can actually get third-party ones that help you. Like, they're more comfortable.
Right, they're more comfortable.
Now, like, they're more flat, but again, it's also a handheld thing.
Right.
And so you can also get a dock. I just talked about that last week. I don't know if I did on air, but the dock to help that make it more comfortable, because they're a little bit flat, but they're flat because they have to contour with the console for handheld.
Right. So. And that grip that you said on one of the podcasts, or you showed me at least.
Yeah. On that Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I kind of want to buy one.
I do too. For the price, how can you say
it's like
no?
$18 plus shipping, and you get the grip, and you get like something else with it or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what, but
like
still.
But yeah, because I mean, like, I play in handheld mode quite a bit, because I'll take it out there in the living room and just chill. And Wyatt's like, "Daddy, playing a game? Daddy, play Mario."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, Bubba, Daddy, not playing Mario. Daddy, play Skyrim. No, Daddy, not playing. Daddy, playing God of War. No, I am so excited. See, that's another reason why I want to get Spider-Man, because he's gonna watch me play it. In Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. I mean,
he loves Spider-Man and he loves the Flash, and we bought him both of the little like tall figures that have minimal movement.
All right.
And we were playing action figures with him, and he was Spider-Man, and he goes, "I Spider-Man, you the Flash," and he goes, "What's up, the Flash?" And I go, "What's up, Spider-Man?" He goes, "What's up, the Flash?" And then he made him Knuckles. He made him like bump fists. I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid is so cute. Yeah. Anyway, so guys, go to our Twitter. Go to Twitter at Game Addicts Play, and check out all these polls. I'm really hoping that we get some engagement on this, because either or, you and me are picking. And
are we? So how is this going to work? Are we good? Are we the final judges, no matter what the polls say?
No.
Or do
if
we?
The poll wins. The poll wins. The poll wins.
Now here's the thing: if the poll is that, let's say, out of 100 votes for the SNES versus the GameCube controller, GameCube is 51, the other one's 49. There is two of us. We can swing that vote.
Yes, you and me also have a vote.
Okay,
so that's how it's going to go.
Just making sure that's
you
clarified.
You and me do have a vote.
I keep this keeps playing over and over.
That gif of the Goldberg spear.
Yeah.
He sent me this video of this cat getting speared, so
It was the Goldberg spear. That's what it was. It was literally
because it was like getting tackled, and you're like, change this, change the text, and you'll know exactly what I mean. And I sent you a gif of the Goldberg, this dude getting crushed by Goldberg.
Yeah, it's like this little tiny black cat like leaps up, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna get you, and then this black and white cat just Goldberg slams him, and it says tackled at the 4-yard line. I was like, yeah, this needs to be changed, but you know where I'm going. And then you literally sent the exact GIF that I was thinking of to me, and I was like, yep.
Boom. Anyway, guys, yeah, go to our Twitter. Please engage. I'm going to post it on our page on Facebook, as well in that Metal Jesus group. I'm going to say, hey, guys, we got some polls going on. I don't want to flood the page with polls. Please go to our Twitter if you want. Well, see, and I got to check the guidelines about.
I don't know if you can post the Twitter.
I can post. I can't post what we're like there's once a month where we can post our podcast, and I did that last week. But I gotta see, like, we're doing polls, and maybe I can leave it in the comments or something. I gotta because I don't want to like get in trouble and ruffle some feathers with the group, because I'm a big fan of the group. Love a lot of guys in there. I like talking modern retro games and shit like that.
Right.
So I'm definitely gonna try and figure some stuff out, but. Be that as it may, I think it's time to wrap this up, man. A lot of cool stuff going on. Got Spider-Man around the corner. Got Red Dead Redemption coming out tomorrow with a trailer. Maybe tomorrow when I get home, I'll do a little bit of a live video. I thought about us doing some like live video snippets where we get together for a live video thing. If something happens, we'll be in between podcasts.
Yeah,
we'll just get up, and I'm debating on where to do that at, because Instagram is pretty popular for that.
Right.
And I figured we can just show our Instagram some love. Go over there at Game Addicts Play. I'm showing my Fave 5s. All of my Fave 5 pictures. And professional pictures help, taken by my wife. Of all the systems that I own.
A lot of my Fave 5s are not. I don't have them.
Shame.
Pricing.
Also, some of my Fave 5s are Fave 6 or 7s.
Yeah.
Because I cheat, and I'm like, I can't pick one. Or I'm like, I like and it's not the best games ever made. It's not what I think are my greatest games of all time. It's some of my favorite stuff I have in my collection for that system. And I'm trying to be diverse. I'm not trying to put like for PS2, I didn't put Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City or San Andreas. And I could have, because I loved all three of those games. They're great games. I was trying to be diverse. And so I did Final Fantasy X. I did Snake Eater. I did Okage Shadow King, because I'm like, I bought that game and put that in and was like, oh my God, I love this game. This game is freaking hilarious.
Right.
And Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be diverse. And I am on I just did the PS2. I'm going in order.
About launched him out.
You about launched your cat across the room with that. but I've been posting every system I own from the NES and up. So I did NES, Game Boy, Super NES, Genesis, 64, Dreamcast, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be doing Game Boy Advance and GameCube and Xbox coming up, and then of course the generations following. Are you showing your Fave 5s for Super Nintendo right now?
I'm going through them, yeah.
You got 5 yet?
I do own at least 5. There's one of the ones I'm missing is Zombies Ate My Neighbors for Super.
Mm-hmm.
That would... I don't know what that would replace.
What do you have there?
I have... Okay, so... Let me get back here. Okay, so Super Mario All-Stars / Super Mario World. I included this since it's technically 2 different games in one. But Super Mario World, obviously, fantastic. But Super Mario All-Stars, that's kind of all of them in one. It has Super Mario 3 on there, but that one might get replaced. And then, of course, one of my top games of all time, Super Metroid, Link to the Past, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, Tetris Attack. And to actually replace Super Mario World, I don't know if I would, but Zombies Ate My Neighbors is in there. It is one of my favorite games.
So as a little preview of what I've been posting for the Super Nintendo, my Fave 5s that I posted are Mega Man X,
Yeah,
Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3, Super Mario RPG. Now notice there's a square theme there. I probably could have replaced any one of those with Super Mario World, Star Fox, anything like that, or Turtles in Time.
See, I have Star Fox, the original Star Fox, but I personally do not like it. Now, with that being said, I'm sure somebody's like, rah, 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 rah. Star Fox 64. That's my Star Fox game. I freaking love that game.
Did you ever buy that for 3DS?
I do have it for 3DS,
awesome,
and I beat it.
It's awesome for 3DS.
All the things all the way through. I did try to go back to the inverted controls, like how we used to play.
Yeah,
and I was like,
nope.
Hell no.
So then the last game is Link to the Past, Zelda, of course. But
I mean, it's just some of those games like Super Mario RPG. That was an amazing game. I'm very sad. I'm very excited now to have the Pi to where I can actually save it and keep my save. So that'll probably be the first game I play all the way through. And then, yeah, and Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Like we're gonna sit down and we're gonna stream playing Zombies Ate My Neighbors because I have so many fond memories of having so much fun playing that game because I don't think you've played it like all the way through.
Back in the day, they did.
Like you went all the way up to at least like I think it's like level 64 or something, whatever it is.
I played a bunch of that game, a crap load of that game. I rented that game.
God, I love that game.
Anyways,
I digress.
It's time to get going, man. Please go vote on round 1 of the greatest video game of all time brackets.
Video game controllers.
Video game controllers. My bad. I thought about doing best systems as well down the road, but we'll start with controllers because controllers are very important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please go vote on that on our Twitter, Game Addicts Play. Go check out. We're that on everything: Facebook, Instagrams, Twitch. We don't have your custom URL for YouTube yet, but go help us out with that. Subscribe on your YouTube channel or on your YouTube account. Add search Game X Podcast. We're going to be doing. I got gameplay stuff over there. Last of Us, Final Fantasy that I stream on Twitch. Everything on Twitch goes over to YouTube. All of our podcasts go to YouTube. A lot of it is in video form. We kind of quit doing video for a while, and to just kind of speed up the process to be able to record more like the day before we release. It's very difficult for me to process. Like editing is no big deal, but processing time, I won't have the podcast up on the day of release. So we've kind of stopped that until we start streaming the show, because then I can just go bloop bloop, it's over.
Yep.
All the processing is online at that point. So with that being said, thank you guys for checking out this episode. We are nearing Episode 100.
I know we are.
Holy crap. We're just trucking along, man. We're just sitting here enjoying life, enjoying some games.
And think of a real special theme for
we're going to have to do something. We haven't done a retrospective in a long time. I really haven't found a need to really do one. I've been coming up with new ideas to do, like the bracket, or like we did the Gamers Court last week. Which
that was fun. But I need to do a little bit more brush up on my court slander.
Slander?
I just say slander.
Well,
because I'm going to be on the other end next time.
Other end.
So I need to know, like...
Next time, maybe we won't wing it as much. We might actually prepare a little bit more.
I mean, a lot of times I'm trying to think of... Because I don't watch court. Like, I barely watch any of Judge Judy and stuff. And Judge Judy is
I don't
definitely...
watch Judge... I mean, like, I don't watch a lot of it either, but, like... And we're not exactly, like, stringent with court. Because it's a fun skit thing. Right. Obviously, to trying to figure out what is the best out of two things. I mean, we had a bracket thing, that's one thing. But if it's like for controllers, if we were like make the debate, the Super Nintendo versus GameCube controller, and one would be this and one would be that, and you'd be like yelling back and forth trying to figure out which one.
So I think one of the things that we should do a 32 bracket of the greatest games of all time, but there should be a preliminary round because there are a lot of great games.
There are.
And it's hard to list, to go on me say, these are the 32 that I think.
Right.
Those are the 32 you think. There's the 32 that all our listeners think. Like, I think that needs to be very interactive.
Sure, absolutely. When we go to do that, that one's going to be like, give us all your games. Give us all the suggestions.
Yeah, we need a list.
And so with that being said, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you for checking out the podcast on all the services that we're at all around the podcasting world. If we're a podcast service, odds are we're on it, Game Addicts Podcast. If this is your first time checking us out, thank you so much. Subscribe, review us on whatever your platform of choice is.
Make fun of me.
Yes, make fun of Mike. That definitely helps us out.
Horrible lingo.
But, definitely thank you guys so much and for all your support. We really appreciate each and every one of you for downloading each and every episode that we do. We are now over, Mike, 900 followers on Podbean.
That's awesome.
So thank you each and every
one of you. You guys are awesome.
For following us on there. Podbean's a great podcasting app to go through. Of course, if you have Apple, we're on there too, and Google's and the Stitchers and the Spotify's. What's that?
That's the slushy truck. The
you got a little ice cream truck?
The freeze? No, it's not an ice cream truck. It's the why can't I think of the name of it? The little
shaved ice.
Shaved ice. That's the name of the.
I don't know.
I can't think of it.
It's like something Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Anyway, after being rudely interrupted with the shaved ice, thank you guys so much for downloading and checking out this episode. Rate, rave, review, subscribe, all that stuff. Until next time, I've been Brendo.
And I've been Mike.
And we've been the Game Addicts Podcast. Game on, guys. Later.